Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all having a wonderful day wherever you are. Today I'll be showing you how I made this faux wrap dress, and by the way guys, this has a very deep neckline, so you can pull one sleeve down to give it that off shoulder look, and the best thing is that you can dress this up or down for any occasion. So let's get started with our project. These are all the items that I used for this project, and I'll make sure to list everything in the description box below. You're going to need a t-shirt, and make sure that your t-shirt is not tight, and then you're going to need pattern paper, elastic band, pencil, you're going to need fabric marker, scissors, matching thread, pins, ruler, tape measure, your fabric, and a curved ruler. We are going to start by making our front bodice, and we will mark 4 inches away from the edge of our pattern paper. Next, we are going to place our t-shirt on that line that we made, and make sure that your t-shirt length is the same length as your neck to waist. Mine is 15, so I've folded my t-shirt to that length, and after that we are going to trace around our t-shirt. Now I'm going to use a straight ruler to straighten those lines, and then I'm going to use my curved ruler for the curve on my armhole and my neckline. For the next step, I'm going to mark 3.5 inches from my waistline. Then after that, I'm going to draw a straight line from the shoulder all the way to the 3.5 mark. I'm going to mark this as my front piece, and you're going to cut 2 pieces out of it, and then guys, make sure that you add 1 inch allowance for ease and sewing allowance. I have already traced and cut my back piece just as I did for my front, and you will cut this on a fold. Make sure that you add 1 inch for allowance also. To make our sleeves, I've folded my pattern paper in half, and I will place my t-shirt on the fold like so, then I will trace around it. I'm now going to mark my length, which is 22 inches, and I will draw a straight line going down. To determine our sleeve length, you will need to measure from your shoulder all the way to your wrist, and then after you're done, make sure that you add 1 inch allowance for ease and sewing. Here are all our patterns, and you'll need 2 pieces of sleeves, 2 pieces of your front bodice, and 1 piece of your back piece, which will be cut on a fold. After cutting, you should have 2 pieces of front piece, 1 piece back piece, 2 sleeves and belt. Next step is sewing our pieces together, and we will do that by placing our front piece on top of our back piece with the right sides facing each other. Then repeat the same to the other front piece. Then we will sew at the shoulder with a half an inch sewing allowance. I serged my edges off camera. I'll then open this up, and then I will place my sleeve right sides facing each other and then pinned. I went ahead and added a few pleats for my sleeve because I found that it was a little bit bigger. And after that, we are going to sew this with a half an inch sewing allowance. I finished sewing my sleeves, and then I serged the edges. Next thing we're going to do is match up the sides and then pin and sew with a half an inch sewing allowance. We are now going to measure around our front, and the measurement that we get will be the length of our facing. Then the width will be 3 inches, and we will fold it in half widthwise and sew with a half an inch sewing allowance. Next, we are going to measure 3.5 inches on one side of our front and mark. Then we will take the other front piece and then place it on the mark that we made, and this is how we are going to create our wrap. After that, we are going to pin and sew with a half an inch sewing allowance. Next we're going to sew the opening, and then I'm going to sew about 8 inches down because I don't want mine to be so open. You can always do yours a bit open if you like. Next, we will find the radius of our full circle skirt, and we will do that by measuring around our bodice waist, then divide that by 2 pi or 6.28. Mine was 5.4, so I folded my fabric twice, then I will mark 5.4 from the edge. After marking my radius, which was 5.4 inches, I'm now going to mark 20 inches as my skirt length, and I got my length from measuring from my waist till where I wanted my skirt to reach. You can make yours shorter or longer if you like. I'm now going to go ahead and cut. Next step is joining our circle skirt to the bodice, and we're going to do that by placing our skirt to the bodice with the right sides facing each other and the wrong side should be facing you, and then we will sew with a 1/2 inch sewing allowance. I'm now going to sew a casing for our elastic band, and my elastic band is about 1/2 inch wide. And for my length, I got my length by measuring around my waist with my elastic band. Then after that, we're going to sew 1/2 inch from the allowance that we sewed earlier, and make sure that you leave an opening so that we can insert our elastic band. I've finished sewing the casing, and I've already inserted my elastic band with a safety pin, and now I'm pulling it through. After that, I will sew the elastic with a zigzag stitch, and make sure that you sew the little opening that we left for our elastic. Next step is going to be hemming our sleeves, and we will do that by folding over twice 1/2 inch, and then we are going to sew and leave a little opening so that we can be able to insert our elastic band. After hemming, we are now going to measure around our wrist with an elastic band and cut it out, and then we would cut another piece for the other sleeve, and then after that we are going to insert our elastic with a safety pin. Now I'm going to hem my skirt, and I folded 1 inch in and I folded it again, and then I will sew with a 1 inch sewing allowance. The last step is making our belt, and I cut a piece of fabric that is about 50 inches long and 5 inches wide, and then I'm going to sew. This is how the dress turned out, and I really love it. Thank you so much guys for watching, and I wish you a wonderful day and God bless. Bye.